let me tell you something, okay? I want to go see the fucking Odyssey in 70 millimeter IMAX. But unfortunately, the criminal, disgusting, monstrous piece of shit, Nolan, has made it so that he filmed it and released it on cameras that are too costly. That is where there's like 8 fucking theaters in the country where you could actually watch it in the way that the auteur wanted us to consume it. It's actually insane to do that. He is such a piece of shit. And I hope nobody forgives him for that. Okay? I hope nobody forgives him for that. Dog, there are literally like 70 total movie theaters capable of showing it. And it's hilarious because there are certain movie theaters where you go, and because the burn rate is so high, the projector overheats. The projector over fucking heats. So because it's not designed for a 3-hour feature film and just for like 40-minute documentaries, the projector's overheat. So then you could potentially be one of the lucky few. You could be one of the lucky few that actually puts the money down, is waiting in long lines on the internet, trying to fucking figure it out, trying to figure out if you have some time to watch, and you're at the 12 a.m. showing and it's packed, and you get into the movie theater and then it just overheats and now you're cooked. You can't even watch it. I mean, what do? Every time I see the 2 different like side-by-side shots of the giant men and you can't see their fucking heads, you can only see their heads in IMAX movie theaters, and you can only see their heads in the IMAX movie theater. You can't see their heads. It's cut off. Is that real? Is that actually real, or is that fake news? Because that actually soured me on the entire franchise, okay? That unironically soured me on the entire process. It is real. That's unacceptable. Maybe because we're not British, Christopher Nolan doesn't understand how things work in this country. There are entire neighborhoods, states, where there are very few hospitals, let alone a 70 millimeter IMAX theater. For regular folk living in the countryside, for the country bumpkins, they are not going to be able to experience this. And even in the fucking cities, there aren't that many IMAX movie theaters anyway that can show it. I mean, I won't lie to you. This shit looks a bomb. It looks so fucking sick. It's kind of annoying how sick it looks. It's also doubly awesome because the Republicans were like chirping. All the right-wing sloppulists were like, this sucks. There are black people in the movie. Blah, blah. Like there is a transgender man in the movie. Why? And it's like, dude, first of all, it's fake. Okay? It's fake. Newsflash. It's made up, okay? So people have their own interpretations of this kind of thing, okay? That's what Nolan is doing. So I just need you to understand something. Cyclops don't exist in the real world. I don't want you to freak out, but Cyclops don't fucking exist in the real world. It's fake, okay? It's a fictional story. You're a fucking idiot. God, I got so much more to talk about. What about John Fetterman? 2 eyes. 2 eyes, spiritually an ogre, but 2 eyes. If you haven't noticed, he looks like he could be a Cyclops, but he's not. He has 2 fucking eyes. You're right, it's costly and time consuming to set up. Yes. It's crazy. It's mind boggling. I mean, he's on his auteur shit, okay? That's what he is. He's on his auteur shit. He's always done this, obviously. And there are certain elements in Nolan's Nolan mindset that I obviously agree with. Okay, there's certain takes that Christopher Nolan, like certain things that he does that I agree with, like his no CGI mentality, no CGI unless it's like absolutely necessary. Like that's brilliant. I think that's awesome. That I do. That I support 100%. What I don't support is the fact that he's deaf and also seemingly is on a mission to make everybody else deaf. Though that's something that I don't support. I love practical effects. I hate the fact that he is absolutely hell-bent on making sure that anyone who fucking watches his movies in a movie theater is going to go deaf and have the exact same type of deafness that he has. So that's important. I don't like that. I also don't like how convoluted some of his scripting is. Okay. There are instances where he just goes all over the place. There's obviously a lot of inspiration he's drawn from other, other franchises, other movies. And people point to that all the time. And I think there's inspiration, and then there's inspiration, there's adaptation, and then there's just yoinking. And I think he does a little bit of the yoinking. That's that's some of the thoughts I have on Odyssey that I haven't even gotten to see yet, because it's fucking annoying the way that this asshole has shot his movies, and he wants to have classic architects and movie directors have the God complex, and I totally understand that, because what is the greatest God complex than to demand that people see your movie in the way that you intended? One could make the argument that forcing people to watch it in the theater in the day and age of streamers is already exhausting that, because there's so many different available options. I understand that, by the way. I do think that watching a movie in a movie theater is a beautiful experience. Maybe I'm too much of a fucking boomer. Maybe I'm too much of an unk. Okay, get it out of your system. Call me old if you want. I do believe that we should be going to movie theaters. We should be going to and sharing experiences together. I wish we could do more of that. I think it's a way to, it's a foundational aspect of human existence as a social animal, and I feel like we've lost touch with that side. So yeah, I'm ableist on that front, straight up. I love movie theaters, and I want to support movie theaters.
It was an epic box office weekend for the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's take on Homer's ancient Greek poem brought in, listen to this figure, $260 million worldwide. That's huge, easily surpassing other movies on the planet. Adriana Diaz has more.
The Odyssey stormed the box office over the weekend with this year's biggest.
Have the hogs missed their mark this hard before? I think it was at least with Baldur's Gate, they weren't as chirpy about the gay stuff in it. So they knew better. They shut the fuck up. But this one, they positioned this as a major flop. Elon Musk was actively utilizing Twitter and the Twitter algo to aggressively go after the Odyssey and how bad it was going to be, how the Odyssey was going to suck. People were going to hate it. They were going to oppose it because it's woke. Christopher Nolan is being woke. He made Helena Troy black. He put Elliot Page in the movie. These are unacceptable things. You can't do that. All this stuff. Now, of course, I have many different opinions on this. Number one, this is a fake story, and this is obviously Christopher Nolan's own interpretation of an already fictional story. So what's it to you, dumbass? That's number one. Number two, these people were not even they weren't even prominent fixtures of the movie. It wouldn't even be a problem if they were, but who cares? Most people just don't care about this stuff. Most people don't care about this stuff. They're exhausted. They have outrage fatigue. The right-wing mobs have gotten to the same point that I think at the peak woke left movements had gotten to. We're past that point, actually, where people are just enough, dude, let me fucking enjoy something. You're constantly up my asshole. Enough is enough. I think the real problem they should have had is not even the Western Sahara occupied territory and the demands for boycott, but the fact that they did not acknowledge that Omer is Turkish, born in Izmir, and also Troy is Turkish as well. And this is seen as this great Greek play, when it's clearly it's actually a great Turkish masterpiece. And I think it's really fucked up. So a lot of people are not talking about that, but that's my own personal thing. This is Anatolia, right? This is Anatolia, where Turkey is. And important to recognize that, obviously, but we're not gonna, it's fine. That's just a me thing, I guess. I guess nobody cares about that. But we'll talk about the Western Sahara thing too. I didn't realize that there was parts of the movie that were filmed in Western Sahara. I will say this, also, Christopher Nolan, objectively more right-wing than most other major directors. perhaps one of the more right-wing major directors, which is really funny because like the right are so repulsive and so racist that they are kind of pushing him to come across as a liberal. He's not a liberal. Like, he is a very conservative director. Right? As far as fucking directors goes, he might be, out of the major directors, he might literally be the most conservative. How? I don't know. Have you seen Dark Knight? Please rewatch Batman and tell me how that is not objectively a right-wing movie. The enemies are literally like socialist, communist terrorists. What are you talking about? The enemies are objectively tailored as like anarchists. Of course, he's not Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan is like not just like center right. Taylor Sheridan is like right-wing in the American sense. But I mean, Oppenheimer made me reconsider that stance a little bit, even though there's obviously a decent amount of conservatism that he has. But it's clear that he's just like he let the real world incidents speak for themselves. But you know, I think if you look at some of his other work, like it's clear that he definitely has some right-wing takes. One of the funniest parts about this, if you guys remember, if you're old enough, in like the early 2016 era when like Gamergate was popping off, but like woke was starting to make develop a foothold in American culture, one of the arguments that right-wingers constantly presented was that woke lefties don't have respect for the classics, okay? Woke lefties don't want to teach people about the classics. They don't want people to learn about the classics. Oh, the ancient Greek, they were white, and therefore this is Shakespeare. You don't want to learn about that. You shouldn't learn about Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a colonizer. No one should learn about the Odyssey. No one should learn about Homer. That was the idea that right-wingers were trying to incept. The right-wingers were trying to invoke this claim that leftists were very much against. Woke SJWs were very much against the learning about the Odyssey, right? Now, of course, this was never true, but this was never a real thing. In the last decade, the right has moved into the column of illiteracy and now see stupidity as not a vice, but a virtue, where they wear it on their sleeve, where they're like, yeah, I'm a dumb guy. That means I'm a real one. Yeah, I'm hateful. That means I'm real. You should be too. Like, we've moved so far beyond like any interest on the right for literacy that they're just straight up freaking the fuck out over this, instead of recognizing this as like, you know, educating the new generation on this epic, on this classic that like people need to learn about. Instead of highlighting that, you know, what a great story about defying the gods or whatever, right? Like, instead of taking that approach, they have decided that because they're illiterate racists, that this, otherwise small c conservative classic is actually bad. Why is it bad? Because there's 3 minutes and 54 seconds of a black woman in the epic. And also because there's a trans man in it too, and that's unacceptable. It's a bridge too far. Yeah. I mean, Ben Shapiro is at least fucking smart enough to understand this, whereas many right-wingers have moved super, super far past that point. They don't give a shit, right? Ben Shapiro, I wanted to hold my opinion on the Odyssey until I'd seen it. I know, weird. So here it is. It's a grand spectacle with a fascinating moral core. It's extraordinary. Also, actors shouldn't have said dad. And the casting of Elliot Page is a pebble in the shoe. Irritating and bothersome and unnecessary. All my thoughts here, including Zendaya and Lupita takes. Check it out. So, is this because Ben goes woke? No, it's because Ben is of a dying breed. Ben is a hate monger. Ben is a horrible ultra-Zionist, a bad guy in every way, shape, or form. However, Ben Shapiro is literate, and that is why a lot of people hate him. A lot more people hate him because of his Israel takes, certainly, but he is a theater kid through and through, and not only that, but he's also fucking literate. This is not a defense of Ben Shapiro. I despise him. I oppose him every step of the way. There is perhaps nothing that Ben Shapiro and I agree on. Having said that, however, I can still recognize that he is a literate human being, and he has like at least some level of culture, which should imply that he knows better, but he does not, seemingly. Educated people being hateful is much worse. Yes and no, because it also doesn't matter, because the right have moved beyond the need for educated hate mongers. They don't want that. They just want someone who's a mouth breather. They want an Asmongold. They want someone who is a dumb guy who openly admits that he's a dumb guy. They want relatability. They want relatability. They don't have aspirational goals anymore. In a decade ago, they had aspirational goals. Who would they hype up? They would hype up Jordan Peterson. They would hype up Ben Shapiro. They would try to behave in that way where they're like, oh, we're right wingers, but we're also intelligent right wingers, and we're going to destroy you in the marketplace of ideas. They don't have that anymore. They don't want that anymore. They want Joe Rogan. They want aspirational, or they don't even want aspirational no longer. It was first intellectual aspirational goals. Then it was material aspirational goals, like, you know, all of the wealth and the women that want to fuck you, this hyper machismo with Andrew Tate. And now it's relatability. They're looking for someone who is a lumpenprole in the exact same way that they are, who has made it. That's all this is. That's why that is how I describe the rise of the likes of Asmongold. Bro, Asmold, again, going an hour-long tirade about you, pulling up an immigrant with like 10 links to Destiny's Reddit, very coordinated. Who gives a fuck? Let him chirp. Buddy, I have the federal government after me. You think I give a shit about Asmongold coming after me? Who gives a fuck? Who cares about that nasty little freak? I got multiple governments coming after me. Asmongold should be licking his wounds over this Odyssey take. He farmed outrage on Odyssey so goddamn hard, okay? Non-stop he did. Non-stop. Homer's rolling in his grave. The Odyssey is over after this. The whole internet rejected this. Hollywood is panicking. $2.5 million. And now it's a major hit. And right before it released, when critics were calling it a masterpiece, he said this: I don't think it's a great thing that critics are able to preemptively manufacture a consensus on media like this, especially when this movie has so many hot button social issues tied into it that critics refuse to address. Critics now offer propaganda rather than insight. Bitch, you did that. You're just chirping because you couldn't succeed. They tried to Gamergate the Odyssey. They tried to Gamergate Christopher Nolan. You can't fucking Gamergate Christopher Nolan. He's obviously one of the most famous directors of our generation. Why, like, it's so stupid.